Okay, shalom everyone. I'm back again. Had an interesting day today in East Jerusalem, in Christchurch, with Pastor Tom Hughes, and so we did a bunch of tapings, and so I'm a little tired. But listen, when you give it all you've got, you get tired. So anyway, so that's with Tom Hughes. Regarding the situation here, I have to say something. I should be getting very angry and very nervous, and Israel's on the verge of a civil war. But I think to myself, I believe in God. I believe God is in control, and we have seen so many miracles in the last year and a half. And so I think God will provide another miracle, and this whole problem with the Israeli deep state, I think, will be overcome. And we just have to pray for strength for the Israeli government, strength for Netanyahu, strength for our young men, our soldiers who have been incarcerated, really, really in an illegal and cruel manner. It's kind of like the Soviet system of the 50s, showcase trials. Netanyahu also is under so much stress. So we have to pray for Netanyahu that he have the strength to defeat these one world government mongers and to prevent a civil war in Israel. It's crazy. God is giving us all these miracles to defeat the Arab enemies. And we've got people on the left here in Israel who are kind of looking forward to a civil war, which they're going to lose. So, we watch the news. Rachel is suffering with high pressure, blood pressure today. I think she has to stop watching the news altogether because it's so upsetting for her. And so I'm the one who ends up watching the news and then regurgitating everything back to you guys. The fighting is full blast again in Gaza. I think this time we're going in for the final kill of the Hamas. They are beginning to kill their own people now for protesting against the Hamas. Hezbollah, the fighting is heating up again in Lebanon because the Hezbollah is breaking all the rules of the ceasefire. So the Israeli army may be reinvading Lebanon, which is something none of us want. But all I can say is praise God that Gaza is really no longer a threat at all to Israel. We just want our hostages back. Hezbollah is not a threat to Israel anymore. They're a nuisance. But hopefully, together with the United States and France, the Lebanese government will be able to do something about it. The president, so-called Erdogan of Turkey, is in hot water for doing crazy things and arresting all the opposition. So we're going to see what happens with that. And all I can say is, and the Houthis, the United States is bombing the heck out of the Houthis in Yemen. So we're hoping that this will bring about a good final solution for the problem of the Houthis, the Yemenites. We're waiting to see what happens. The Israeli, all I can say, and speaking from our own perspective, our soldiers are tired because our army is too small and it is overworked by all of these conflicts all at the same time. And hopefully the numbers of our military will grow. I know that they're trying to go up from 300,000 to 400,000 troops, but you can't do this in a day or in a year. It takes years to rebuild the army. And we're waiting to see where all of that goes. Other than that, things are seemingly quiet. As far as I know, we have not been hit by any or attacked by any missiles. by the Houthis today. We are following everything that's going on with Yemen. We'll just have to see. Also, the feeling is in Israel now that we are in the quiet before the storm regarding Iran, and it may indeed be that either the U.S. or Israel or both will go in for the kill with the Iranian government, with the nuclear project. Listen, things have been cooking here for a year and a half with open warfare, and Hamas was preparing the war with us for 17 years. So we're watching. God's hand is on Israel. We have seen a lot of miracles, and hopefully the miracles will continue, and we should not see any military coup d'etat against Netanyahu and the government. I've been talking about this for a year and a half. We'll have to see. I can talk a lot more, but you know what? I do have something to say. Indonesia is now appearing more and more in the Israeli news. I spoke about Indonesia being, in my opinion, the prime address for sending the Gaza population. And like I said before, Indonesia is a very, very rich country. It has a lot of jungle, has a lot of islands, has a lot of water, fertile land. It has oil. And they are Sunni Muslims like the Gazans. And so theoretically, it will be a very good thing for everyone if the Gaza Arabs go there. There's a story, I don't know if you heard about it, but the capital of Indonesia is Jakarta. And Jakarta is like Mexico City. It is sinking. And the sea level, therefore, is rising. And Indonesia has a plan to completely rebuild a new capital on higher ground. And they need the foreign laborers to work to rebuild this new capital city. Therefore, Indonesia actually is very happy to receive construction workers from Gaza. I also did hear that Romania and Italy have taken in Gaza laborers. So maybe we are beginning to see signs of more and more cooperation with President Trump and the United States to bring in Gaza labor. And if a laborer goes to this or that country, they take their family with them. So it may take time, but I think the Gaza population will decrease, which is what we all want. Any questions?
You were talking about the soldiers being tired, Avi. Do you think there's much possibility that other countries would actually come do boots on the ground and supplement the troops?
Not at all.
Never?
Not at all. Israel does not want foreign boots. We want to do everything ourselves. I know that the United States is very sensitive about having to send American troops boots on the ground. And the Israelis are just counting their blessings that President Trump is with us as he is. And so I think Israel is making it very clear to the U.S. that we don't need boots on the ground. When I say that the Israeli troops are tired, listen, my son Aaron, by the way, on the 7th of April is his birthday, another 6 days. And Aaron's going to be 50 years old. And Aaron, may God give him long life, he's been in the military 500 days. And he's 50. I mean, these are things that are unheard of in America. Of course, Aaron has a very specialized talent in Arabic. It's not combat duty per se, but I don't know what to tell you. Tourism is not picking up. We cannot pick up tourism until the war is completely over and there's stability. So, I would say we just need for you guys really to pray very hard for us. I wish more Jewish boys and girls from all over the world would come home and join the army. And when I say Jewish boys and girls, I'm talking about Israeli background children who speak Hebrew. And there are many who come home to Israel and go into the military and serve the country. I have to tell you, I don't want to brag. It's nothing to brag about. But I had a business in the late 1970s, early 1980s. I was importer of water pick products in Israel. And I lost the business because of all this Israeli army stuff. This is the Lebanon War, 1982. The inflation, 1983, 84. Lost everything. Lost my home, lost my van. The only thing I didn't lose was Rachel. If Rachel had any brains, she would have divorced me. But God has been good, and God has rewarded us and restored everything that we lost. But there's a lot of divorce in Israel today. A lot of people just cannot handle being in the army, and the woman, the wife is alone with the children at home. Very, very difficult lives in Israel. So I don't know. I mean, there was a poll taken that Israel is one of the happiest countries in the world, in spite of everything. And because Israel is a very, very family-centered type country. But so you might want to pray about that. Pray about Netanyahu's health. The police are still anti-Netanyahu. It's very hard to purge the police and purge the military and purge the Secret Service of all the left-wing holdouts who have been holdovers who have been in power and stay in power. There's a lot we can do, a lot we have to do. So I don't know. I mean, Independence Day is the 1st of May, and so we have to watch closely. They'll come out with the statistics. If Israel's population has grown or it has shrunk, we don't know. A lot of Israelis have left. A lot of people are coming home, but a lot of people have left. And that always happens with our wars. People get just so tired out from the wars. Thank you, Lori. More questions, please bring them on.
This is the longest war by far, right?
Yes.
Since 1948. I mean, by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, 48, the war started in May. Actually, the war started in November 47 because it was when the United Nations decided to recognize the creation of 2 states. And that's when the fighting started. And it went until I think it was until June 49. So you have right there over a year and a half. I mean, I personally don't complain, because I'm home, I have my health. Rachel is still talking to me. She's still cooking. She needs something. Avi, go to the supermarket. I go. What am I going to do? Say no? And it's just, we feel. How shall I say? We feel like a boxer in the 14th round. So we have one more round to go. It'll be over soon enough. But we've got to get as the Israeli settlers go back to their homes in the north and on the Gaza envelope, the hotels empty out. So we have to have tourism. If we don't have tourism, then what's going to happen to our hotels? The tourism industry. And the Arabs who are attacking us, they have nothing to talk about. I mean, they have nothing to speak about. But we have a lot to lose if we don't have tourism and we don't have people coming. And I know a lot of Christians are afraid to come, and rightfully so from their perspective. I mean, once you're here, you see how safe it is. But it's very hard for pastors to organize groups. We have a lot of small Jewish groups coming. But what we need is the masses of Christians who are coming before. So we need for you to pray for us.
Hi, Avi.
Hi, Angela.
Hello. Regarding the North, I was just reading that I know Hezbollah are really active and particularly in Lebanon. Um, but how is it? I mean, I know, oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. In 1948, that Israel had to give land back in the ceasefire agreement made with Lebanon. And recently, the IDF was able to liberate some of that land that was held by Hezbollah terrorists, but because of Biden, they had to kind of failed intervention. They had to sort of give it back. So there's still a lot of activity with Hezbollah in that area, and someone was arrested. A Hezbollah agent was arrested in Cyprus, I think. He was planning um, to attack an Israeli aircraft in that area, passenger jet or something. So it shows that they are looking to expand to different areas to attack Israel. But that promised security belt, which should have went up to the Litani River in Lebanon, um, that's fallen away somewhat. And these lands that used to belong to Israel, didn't they? Weren't they Israeli farming lands before? Um, Obviously are held now by Hezbollah in Lebanon. And there's still what's there doesn't seem to be any intervention or diplomacy with Lebanon regarding Hezbollah and what they're still doing. I mean, and I presume the IDF are still in that area, and it just seems like they're just slogging away and not getting much help in the area of diplomacy. Can you say anything about that at all?
I have a lot of things to say, but
Yeah,
firstly, I will say that after Biden was defeated in the elections, God gave us a gift called President Trump. Now, I
yeah,
know President Trump is a human being. He's not God. He makes mistakes. He says things sometimes which are out of place. But we have a president in the United States today who's solidly behind Israel, solidly behind us. But I think that the Israeli leadership under Netanyahu understands the limitations. And so Israel does not want to do anything that might cause a falling out between the United States and Israel. As for the Lebanese border, the border hasn't changed. It's still the same border. Our farmers have the same lands. We haven't lost them. But I will tell you, in our news every night, the last few nights, we are talking about a re-entry of Israeli troops into South Lebanon. And I think at some stage, with the president that we have now in the White House, I think that he will not be so harsh like Biden and not so demanding like Biden that we hand everything immediately right back again. And the Israeli government has promised, I know we're politicians also, but we promised our citizens that there would be no shooting at them if they go back to their homes. So they go back to their homes and they're shooting at them again because
yeah,
Hezbollah really doesn't care.
yeah,
So therefore, I think what you're going to see, in addition to the fighting in Gaza, fight to the finish with Hamas, you
mm,
are going to see a fight to the finish with Hezbollah. The Christians in Lebanon are divided into two groups. You have those who support Israel out of religious Christian reasons, but I think the vast majority of the Christians go with Hezbollah because it's all part of the anti-Sunni coalition. So we are watching the situation with Hezbollah. I think it's possible to say that the Druze in Lebanon are getting closer to Israel as allies, like the Druze in Syria. I think that the Sunnis, if they don't join the Turks and the ISIS group, they will also be potential allies with Israel against Hezbollah. So everything is very much in the air still in Lebanon.
Mm.
But I think that we gave the Hezbollah a knockout punch. Then what they did was they got reorganized and they're back on their feet again, trying to fight again. But they still do not have the danger capacity that they had before. And so Israel, I think, is going to know how to deal with Hezbollah. My personal prayer is that we will have an Abraham agreement with Lebanon. But of course, that's not up to me. That's up to President Trump and the French. And we have to see what the different militias in Lebanon want. Do they want an Abraham Accord? I mean, there is no such thing as the Lebanese people. What you have is you have four factions: Christians, Jews, Sunnis, and Shiites. Syria, you don't have a Syrian people. You have, again, the same like in Lebanon, and you have Kurds. And the Kurds are pro-Israel. The Druze are pro-Israel. The Christians, I say this with very great heavy heart, the Christians in Syria are anti-Israel because the churches, the classical, old-fashioned anti-Semitic churches are still in control. And the Christian, listen, Ted Cruz went to a meeting of Syrian emigres, I think it was in New York, and he said to them, Israel's your ally. They threw him out.
Yeah.
The Christians from Syria who are in New York, they threw out Senator Ted Cruz. Because Ted Cruz is a Texas, or shall I say Florida Christian, and not a Lebanese or a Syrian Christian.
Mm.
And I think also that the campaign in Iran is about to explode.
Yeah.
Because Trump gives the Iranians every opportunity to buckle under and surrender, and we'll be nice to them. That's his approach. But I think the arrogance of the Ayatollah regime is such that they want to commit suicide. You can't stop people from committing suicide.
Mm. Yeah, it's just they seem hell-bent, even to the detriment of their own population. It's just crazy.
Listen, the Americans are blasting the heck out of the Houthis, and I mean, who am I? I'm nobody. But innocent people are dying in Yemen, and the Houthis don't care about their own people.
No.
Hamas doesn't care about its own people. Hezbollah doesn't care about its own people. ISIS terrorists from Turkey don't care about the people of Syria. And so I think that the wet dream, you know what a wet dream is. The wet dream of all these crazy people is that Israel will be defeated through attrition. That the Jewish people will simply not be able to continue like this. And they have a point.
Mm.
You know, I'm 76, so sometimes I say to myself, I wish I could go to the army and volunteer. They'll say to me, you're 76, go home. You'll be more of an impediment. But our young people are suffering, and those ultra-Orthodox and those socialists, anarchists who refuse to join the army are putting all the burden on the few who, you know, are willing to serve their country.
Yes, it's a sad state of affairs where it's all come to.
But like I said before, we have seen so many miracles from God regarding all these crazy enemies, and we've handled it pretty well. I think Netanyahu did the right job, and you know what? He did the right job together with the military leaders, who some of them were traitors, between you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I'll say another thing also. Netanyahu understands that sometimes you have to work with the traitors also, because if you start purging your troops of their leaders over left-wing ideas that they may have, in the end, you weaken the military.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah. So please just pray for Netanyahu,
Mm-hmm.
for his long life and his good health, because the courts here in Israel are trying to wear him down with just
Yes.
harassment from the left-wing courts. And we have to pray for President Trump, because there's still, we're seeing a lot all of a sudden. I mean, why are they shooting up Tesla cars, American-made vehicles? Why are the left people shooting them up? So you have a form of insanity in the United States too.
I think somebody's paying them to do it.
No,
My
absolutely.
cynical view.
There is deep state in the U.S. and there is deep state in Israel, and there's deep state in Europe. By the way, there was a very big TV report yesterday that many, many thousands of French Jews are coming home.
That's interesting.
They see the danger in France.
Yeah, France has got a lot of problems at the moment.
Yeah. Just remember, 1st of May, we're going to be Independence Day. We're going to see exactly the numbers of how many people made Aliyah in the last year. Is Israel's population growing or shrinking? I mean, I don't know if they're going to tell us how many are leaving, but
Yeah.
for example, we know that some left-wing people are leaving. They are not Zionists. They don't see any reason to stay, and they go.
Well, that will be very interesting to read that. Yes.
Good questions, Angela.
Thank you, Avi. Thank you very much.
This isn't that. I wanted to know more about. I wanted to know more about this revolt about the Palestinians against the Hamas. And you mentioned something about they were shooting them.
Well, it was televised that there was one Palestinian from one of the Hamulas. Hamula is like a clan. And the clans, before they go with Hamas, they stick together as a family. And from one clan, there was one guy who spoke very openly against Hamas, and they tortured him and they killed him. There was a little boy on TV last night cursing Hamas for what they were doing to destroy his family and destroy Hamas. So though some of the demonstrations were created by Hamas themselves to garner, to garner support, humanitarian support for the population, many people say that a lot of these demonstrations are the real thing. So we don't know. We're watching. Israel is very careful to try not to harm individuals, citizens of Gaza. We are working on tracking down terrorists and eliminating them.
Wow.
Once I did a radio show with a Miami-based Spanish language interview program show, and they said, "Oh, you Jews, you just want to kill all the Gaza Arabs." I said, "We don't want to kill the Gaza Arabs. You have 50,000 terrorists out of 2 million. We want to kill the 50,000 terrorists." And it's like they didn't believe me. We are very careful. We have a very ethical army, and our job is not to kill innocent civilians, even though none of them are innocent, but our job is to kill terrorists. People running around with machine guns in the streets of Gaza, we see them from our spy satellites and drones. We take them out.
Thank you.
My pleasure, dear.
So, Avi, regarding the judge that has Bibi under where he has to meet with them every week for 2 days, is that still going on, or is she up for getting ousted?
Listen, these judges and these people in the judiciary their job given to them, their orders are to bring down the Netanyahu government, bring down the right wing, to show that Netanyahu is not capable of ruling because he's in court all the time. So it'll be very interesting to see how God gives strength to Netanyahu to withstand all these judiciary false attacks, because these are all false attacks. I'm telling you, Rachel, poor thing, she listens, watches, and then finally she says, "Excuse me, Avi, I can't take it anymore." And she goes to bed. She collapses. What should I say about Netanyahu? How does Netanyahu handle this crazy stuff?
It sounds like the same thing going on here. There's so many lies and all going on to attack Trump and his administration, and they're just, it's unbelievable. And we wonder how he does. But prayer for Bibi and prayer for Trump, God put them in place for such a time as this.
Correct. I agree 100%.
Avi, following up on the question about foreign boots on the ground. So U.S. military bases are in all the surrounding countries, Jordan, Syria, Egypt. We have U.S. military bases, but there's no foreign military bases in Israel, right?
Correct.
And there would never be an American base in Israel?
What we do have, and we have had for a while, is, for example, when we had the use of Patriot missiles. So you did have American squads manning the Patriot missiles and firing them. I think our primary concern now is hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles being fired at us simultaneously by Iran. And for that, what we really need is the American Navy and the American Air Force up in the air, intercepting all of these missiles so that they don't hit the land of Israel. We don't need soldiers on the ground. What we need is the technology and capability of intercepting missiles coming in from Iran. We have this with the Houthis, by the way, with Yemen, that the U.S. Navy is doing a wonderful job regarding Yemen. I mean, they've been bombing the heck out of the Houthis for the last 3 weeks. So we have a good alliance. I think it's easier for a homogenized military, all speaking Hebrew, to not have a problem with language differences. And like I said before, America does not want its troops landing with boots on the ground in Israel, and we respect that. We can handle that, but we do need help with the technology, with the incoming missiles.
Yeah, it's just curious to me that we have military bases everywhere else, but not in Israel.
I'll say another thing also, which may shock some of you in a nice way. Jordan has, I think, British anti-missile squads in Jordan, intercepting missiles coming in and this was the case on April 14th, a year ago, when Iran was launching missiles at Israel. The Saudis have been helping to intercept the Houthi missiles. So the Saudis are our allies, de facto. So Jordan is an ally, Saudi is an ally. My only problem is with Egypt. I don't see Egypt doing anything to really defend the alliance, the relations that they have with Israel. I think also that nobody talks about it because it's not the time yet, but regarding Turkey, that Israel has the alliance with Greece and Cyprus, which we are all watching. We live in an interesting neighborhood. We have so many neighbors, and we have to see who's with us, who's against us, who's neutral.
Hi, Avi, it's me again.
Yes.
I was just reading the other day, a couple of days ago, that Hamas said it had accepted the new Gaza ceasefire proposal from Egypt and Qatar. Obviously, there was elements in there that are not acceptable to Israel or the United States. Um, can you give us an update of where we are? Are they going to release any further hostages soon?
That is still in the air.
Right.
We're talking about the number of hostages. The Hamas says they're ready to hand over 5. The Witkoff agreement is 11 or 10.
Yeah.
They want 50 or 60 days ceasefire, and Israel's ready to give them 40. Listen, it's Middle East. We're haggling.
Mm,
We're haggling with the enemy.
yes.
I personally have a feeling that the 5 will be released. But meanwhile, the Israeli army is blasting the heck out of the Hamas.
Yeah. But
So
they
it
don't
might
want
be
there's
after a few more days of blasting, it'll go up to 10 hostages being returned.
mm, let's hope so, because they won't want to give up all the hostages, because that's really the only thing they have to.
I agree. I personally feel we will have 5 more hostages.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
Everybody who's attacking Netanyahu says Netanyahu wants to see them all dead, and it's just blasphemy. It's a horrible thing, libel to say that about the
No.
Netanyahu. He's doing
I,
everything.
I mean, they've got 59 currently, but we
Yeah,
don't know who's alive and who's dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the calculations that there are 24 alive
Right.
and
Okay.
35 dead.
I mean, at this stage, they should just return all of them. It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's what Israel is saying. But I do think that we're getting close to the end of the campaign in Gaza.
Yes.
At least
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Let's pray that that does indeed manifest.
Yes, Laurie.
Well, you're just talking about coming to the end of the campaign in Gaza. I was thinking, will there be a large number of Israeli Jews willing and anxious to move in and set up neighborhoods?
Uh, Not until the hostage problem is solved.
Right. I mean, once the campaign is over. I mean,
Yes, there are many people who believe that Gaza is part of the a promise of God regarding the land of Israel. And listen, we had 10,000 Israelis living in Katif before Sharon evacuated.
that's
10,000.
what I was wondering, if there were any Gush Katif families that I mean, now it would be their, kids and grandkids more probably, but if there were Gush Katif families that might say, okay, we're going back in.
I think yes. I think yes. We're not talking about it because we don't want to endanger the hostage negotiation.
What are your thoughts on the escalating threats between the US and Iran?
I think that the Iranians are suicidal. I think that Trump is being kind. He's being overly kind. But what the Israeli strategic people are saying is we can't wait anymore.
And what does that look like? Can't wait anymore.
It means, you remember the song Wake Up, Little Susie, Wake Up? We're going to wake up one morning with hundreds and hundreds of rockets being fired at us from Iran after we destroyed their nuclear project and their oil capacity.
Mm.
There is one of two possible scenarios. One is we just destroy the nuclear facilities, or we destroy the oil and gas, and then cause the Iranian people to rise up against the Ayatollah regime, and then we have regime change. I think the best thing would be regime change. They actually have a third possibility in which parts of chunks of Iran get liberated and quit the Iranian country, and what's the trunk Iranian country will be just the Persians, and then the Azeris will go join up with Azerbaijan, and the Kurds will join up with Kurdistan and Iraq, and but I think that would go against the interests of any relationship Israel might have with Iran later, because then the Iranians will blame Israel for Iran losing its territory.
Won't Israel get blamed regardless?
No, if Israel lets Trump handle everything and the nuclear project is taken out, I don't know if we're interested in destroying the oil of Iran, because the people in Iran are starving already. The people in Iran do not have gas, oil, water. There's no water to drink in Iran. It's crazy. And here I am drinking Coca-Cola and seltzer.
Now, I heard that Israel would be able to solve their water problem, but they don't want Israel to do it.
Absolutely correct. By the way, another area which is very parallel to Iran is California. All of the shortages of water in California could be solved, could be dealt with if the California state government would work with Israel regarding desalination and solar energy, working together to bring water to the people of California. But maybe Gavin Newsom's hatred of Israel and the right-wing Jews and Christians is so great that he doesn't want to hear about, water solution or energy solution properly. California's a mess.
Avi, different topic, but what happened with that area of Druze that were interested in Israel annexing them in Syria?
It's there. We're with them. They're with us.
I mean,
it's over. The Druze are over with this problem. They're going to join Israel. Many Druze from South Syria are now working in the Israeli areas, which includes the Golan Heights. There's a very good relationship now, because the Druze of Israel, the Druze of the Golan Heights, and the Druze of Syria are all together.
And Al-Fulani's not standing in the way?
Who's going to stand in the way? When the Turkish-backed ISIS terrorists try to work their way south, we blow the heck out of them. Even the Sunnis. Megan, are you there? I see Megan is online. This is for Megan. The people that she and Jody Anderson and the others were helping in that field hospital, the people of Daraa, which is Sunni, they love Israel because they remember we were good to them. So I think that Israel has a very strong foothold in South Syria, and that will augur very well with the Druze and even with the Sunnis who live in the south of Syria. I really want to go back and try to find some Syrian currency for my collection. That's supposed to be funny. Rachel just asked me, just grow up. Well, just grow up. I collect coins and stamps and notary bills and stuff, currency bills. Why shouldn't I go get some Syrian currency just for the collection? It's not worth anything, but it's good for the collection. Lebanese currency is also worthless. Maybe now, if there's peace between Lebanon and Israel, the people will start living again. The economy will start picking up.
So if that's already in place, will Israel just keep that whole part of southern Syria, just stay there?
Indefinitely.
Wow.
And
So
by the way, this is also very good for Jordan, because we serve Jordan as a shield on Jordan's northern border, that the terrorists and the smugglers of drugs and weapons cannot come through from Syria, because the Israeli army is there. And the Druze are being paid $300 a month salary, which is a lot of money in South Syria. They're being paid, to serve as a shield for Jordan, not to allow these terrorists to smuggle these things into Jordan. Don't forget, Jordan is in great danger also from the smuggling and the infiltration of ISIS terrorists.
Israel will just keep both sides of the mountain.
Right. Right.
Wow.
I mean, we haven't said we're annexing it. We said when time will be right for an Abraham Accord with Syria, who knows when that will be, then Israel will be ready to go back to its borders, except maybe for the Mount Hermon and the Druze villages close to the border. Whatever happens, the Druze villages are going to be under Israeli military protection.
Avi, can I ask just about the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas?
Right.
Is there anyone that is primed to take over from him?
As far as I know, no.
Mm.
But I will say that there are a number of people who were candidates to be leaders of the Palestinian Authority, and but they're still down. They're still being suppressed. So
Mm-hmm.
probably we'll just have to wait for Mahmoud Abbas to die.
Yeah. And wasn't he trained by the KGB or something?
Yeah, well, they all were.
All right.
I think he did his doctoral thesis that there was never a Holocaust in Moscow.
Yes.
Whatever good that doctoral thesis is worth. Oh, I see Pastor Glenn. How are you?
Avi, I've wondered, is the idea of the people in Gaza being located in other countries something that might also those in Judea and Samaria follow? Are there many people in Judea and Samaria that would love to move to another country to minimize the problem there?
You've met my son Aaron, I'm
Yes.
sure, and he tells me, he follows this very closely, that there are a lot of Palestinians from Judea and Samaria who are actually non-resident. They live in South America or the United States or Canada or Europe, and they build these beautiful houses, and the houses stand empty. So they're already, those who want to leave. It's not like Gaza, where it's very difficult for the Arabs to leave.
Okay.
one of the things that I wrote in my most recent book about Judea and Samaria is that the Yasser Arafat and later the Mahmoud Abbas, you would think that they would support the free enterprise and try to help Gaza business people to make money and get stronger and build up an economy. And the answer is no. The answer is that Mahmoud Abbas and before him Arafat bankrupted all the businessmen and made sure to it that all their money would be stolen by these militias in order not to lose power. So these are terrorists. They don't understand anything other than stealing. It's one of the reasons that the Palestinian economy could never take off. I feel bad for them. I mean, if Satan is their god, what is Satan? Satan is a thief, a murderer. Good to see you, Pastor Glenn. I was concerned about you. I didn't see you a few weeks.
I've been here. I just been listening.
Okay, good, good. Next week should be regular, but Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, I have my operation on the pacemaker, the new battery. So I imagine the following week will also be good. But you can all pray for me.
In the next couple of weeks, I'll be headed down to Texas for my grandson's wedding. So I'm going to be having some family time.
Good, good.
Always good to hear you, though.
Yeah, I can only come back to the States a month after the pacemaker operation, which would put me around 9th, 10th of May.
Okay.
Well, I'll catch you either in Texas or in Oklahoma.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I miss Oklahoma also very much.
Avi, I was just thinking, I mean, with you talking about if something did happen and you weren't able to do a Zoom on Tuesday, I don't really have a way to let people know. So I'm gonna
No, my only problem is lifting boxes of books, and I don't want that battery to pop out of my chest.
But
So,
I'm just thinking if I mean, could be anything could happen and you weren't able to make it. I don't have a way to let people know. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And so if anybody wants like alerts, if the time changes or,
no, time's not going to change. But I would say I think your best contact is Aaron, my son.
I mean, so that I can let people know.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting my email address in. If people want to send me their email address, they can. So I put it in the chat. If people want to send me their email address, I can let them know if there's any,
Excellent. Excellent. I'm hoping next week also to go back to sending out email reminders to people to be in attendance. The last few weeks have been very active, very busy, so I have not had time to sit down and send out like 40, 50 emails to remind people.
Well, Aaron's Facebook page always, when he posts on it, it always generates a lot of buzz.
Right, right. I'm so proud of Aaron. On May 1st, he's getting not a medal from the Israeli army, but he's getting like a citation of excellence. He's being honored at the Independence Day celebrations at the army base.
That's great.
And just keep in mind, he's going to be 50 this week. So if anyone wants to send him an email, happy birthday or something, that'll be nice.
That's great.
How do I know when I'm getting old? When my son reaches 50. By the way, Yaakov, my younger son, has offered to travel with me to the States after the operation to make sure that he can carry boxes for me or set up the product in such a way that it'll be light so we don't have to lift heavy things. So probably Yaakov will travel with me to Miami after the 9th, 10th of May. We shall see. Also, pending a war. We don't know if there's going to be a major war with Iran. There should be, but nobody knows. I miss you guys. I miss America, believe it or not.
What is Aaron's email address?
Aaron is almost like mine. Aaron at, we're the same actually. Because mine is Aaron at yahoo.com. I don't even know the addresses anymore.
Aaron's email address is aaron@lipkintours.com.
Okay, that's the right address. Write to him, and I'm sure he'll be honored to be getting birthday felicitations. And by the way, Rachel is the 14th. For those of you who want to wish Rachel a happy 18th birthday. Every time I joke with her, I try to be romantic, she says, "Oh, grow up." Doesn't help. I'm still a baby with her, but it doesn't matter.
Is that a wrap for today?
I think so, dear. I'm glad I held out this long. Now I'll make myself something else to drink and get ready for Brand Fricker and God's Learning Channel. So we'll see. That's another program that will be taped, but by God's Learning Channel. So